Welcome back, everyone. Still with me, former federal prosecutor Mary Fulgeniti and certified death investigator Joseph Scott Morgan. He's the host of the podcast Body Bags with Joe Morgan, Joseph Scott Morgan. So, Joe, I want to start with you this block, and that is this question that the coroner would not say whether Gabby Petito was found buried or not buried. And I'm wondering if there's a significance there and why he wouldn't just say that.
You know, I think that he's playing this close to the vest, and also this goes to, I think, typing the individual that did this. When you think about somebody burying an individual, particularly in this case after a homicide is committed, even the most base person many times will conduct a burial. It goes to memorializing the dead. It paints a completely different picture when you talk about somebody that essentially takes a body and discards that body, like Gabby's, like they didn't matter, just leaves them on top of the ground. And right now, indications are, particularly from drone footage, is that might be what has happened. That turns us in a completely different direction as far as I'm concerned.
That's fascinating. Mary, there was a great question for the coroner about other injuries that might be healing on Gabby. The coroner would not discuss it, but that's significant. That's the kind of thing you would find out about a trial.
Yeah, they're going to definitely have scoured the body for all other types of injuries on her, you know, especially, and for, like we had previously discussed, DNA under her fingernails, anything that you call defensive wounds, to see if she was trying to fight back. Because that's going to be very important when it comes to, you know, what happened here, how did it happen, and who ultimately, you know, has the motivation and to do it.
So, Joe, just bounce off what Mary just said about, you know, what's under her fingernails. Every autopsy looks at what's under her fingernails, but when you're with a domestic partner, you might just have that DNA under your fingernails. It might not be helpful.
I think that it's significant here, and this is why. This isn't just common sharing of DNA material like in a passive form. This is someone trying to protect themselves. They will have done what are referred to as nail scrapings and nail clippings. The FBI response team, the evidence response team, I can almost guarantee you took those clippings with them. They're being analyzed. This gives us an idea that if she fought back, her hands have literally scraped his face or scraped his neck. That gives you an idea that there was a violent physical contact. If that skin is rolled beneath the nails, that's not passive. That's something that has happened in a dynamic environment, and a lot can be read into that, particularly by the prosecution. If that's his skin, I think that that's going to be a huge nail in his coffin.
So that also leads me, Mary, to say, why on earth didn't they do something in Florida sooner when they had an opportunity to see if somebody had healing scratches and to check for, you know, these kinds of wounds that might have been inflicted in the effort to defend herself?
You know, I think at the time, you know, they did ask to speak with him, and he hired a lawyer right off the bat. And once you hire a lawyer, you don't have to talk to anyone. And he refused to talk and refused to cooperate. And that's his legal right. So at that point, they couldn't do anything. They didn't have the legal right to. And he was considered only a person of interest, which he is now. But that doesn't necessarily change that, you know, he didn't have to talk to them and they couldn't force him.
I hear you, and that totally makes sense to me. We have a Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate ourselves, but not to be scarce. I mean, we don't have the right to not have eyes on us, for heaven's sake. That's something different.
Well, they could have asked to photograph him, and they could have asked to do a number of different things, you're right, to see if there was some sort of altercation.
You know?
Right. But they didn't, and I think it's just because she was, you know, I think as cases are dynamic and situations are obviously ever changing, I think the focus really started to be on finding her. And then he fled, obviously, shortly thereafter. But, you know, I think there's no question in my mind that the feds are looking at him as a subject right now, as a target. They might just say a person of interest, but he's definitely the person that they're focused on. And they're just trying to gather all the evidence and information that they possibly can before they ultimately, you know, pursue him in that capacity.
Yeah, I smell a charge coming, and I feel like it's not long off. There's a lot of probable cause here. There is a lot of evidence already. And there is what you said, consciousness of guilt in the flight. Hey, Joseph Scott Morgan, Mary Fulgeniti, I hope you will come back again. This has been really enlightening. I do appreciate it. Thank you to the both of you.
Thank you.
So if you are still among the millions wondering where in the world is Brian Laundrie, you are asking exactly the right question.